Howdy hey, it's New Year's Eve today. This video is actually going up on January 1st. So if you're like me, the period at the end of the year and the beginning of the year, particularly like the last few weeks of December, I feel like become very heavy with importance. I mean, a lot of people are just coming out of the holidays, but for me, it's all the thoughts that are going through my head about the following year. All the changes I want to make, who I want to be in the new year, and just like all those little things add up as you're seeing things on social media, seeing things your friends post about their resolutions for the new year can be very overwhelming. So I have been feeling myself in that feeling of year-end overwhelm and honestly like avoidance that comes along with that. So I thought I would bring you along on my thought process in case this video is finding you in the new year feeling that same way, or maybe it's finding you in a different point in the year, but perhaps you're struggling with making and reaching goals. Yeah, so I thought I would bring you along my thought process and hopefully it may help yours as well. So let's go. Hi, I'm Megan or Maggie Mouse, and I share how to live a magical lifestyle wherever you are. But this particular video, like I had already mentioned, is going to talk about goal setting and kind of like resolutions, if you want to call it that. And really, it's more so about my philosophy for goals and motivation in the new year. So we're going to break it down like why my goals have failed in the past or why I think they have, how I've landed on my goals for this coming year, and again, my philosophy or like my motivation in approaching those goals for 2026. First of all, I want to say I have no qualifications as like an organizer or motivational anything. I'm someone who has dealt with like lifelong anxiety. I'm neurodiverse and but I'm also like a creative, I would say, and I work just like a regular day job. So I have a lot of different facets of me going on. So maybe you can relate to some of those. And again, this thought process might help you. So in the past, why my goals have failed, all my life I've struggled with, that's funny that I put it that way, struggled with perfectionism, because you would think that's a good thing, but it has been a struggle because it takes a lot out of you. And that type of mindset has always led me to a very like all or nothing. So I either want to do everything I have in my mind perfectly and consistently, or I'm going to be completely avoidant because I feel like I can't start it and do it perfectly, including this video as I'm looking over at my outline. But that is in itself why so many of my goals have failed, because I'm making those goals too all or nothing and also too specific or prescribed, like too much structure around them. And I've made them an attempt to optimize my life versus like optimize like my productivity and like all the things I can do and all the things I can do well versus having those goals just be about personal improvement. Another part of that all or nothing thinking, obviously a big goal a lot of people have in the new year is like losing weight or getting healthier. I've also, because of that all or nothing thinking in my life, struggled with a balanced approach to exercise and like disordered eating at times. And so in my healthier mindset in the past few years, I've been almost scared to make goals around that, because that being like food and exercise, because of fears of like falling back into that like all or nothing mindset. But I do think I'm at a better place and a better approach to those types of goals, which we'll talk about later when we get into my philosophy and motivation for the new year. The first kind of process, because I'm a bottom-up thinker where I think of like details first, the first thing I realized I needed to do, all those little thoughts running through my head at the end of the year, like things I want to do, I was like, I have to get these out of my brain. So I'm actually going to show you on my iPad. I just did like basically a brain, well, not basically, literally a brain dump. Not literally, because literally would be like my brain physically coming out of my body. Anyways, I did a brain dump. If you don't know what that is, it can be anything. It could be like a scratch paper you keep next to your bed and write down things so you can give yourself your brain back to focus on whatever you need to focus on, without feeling like you're going to forget that thing that you wanted to do or remember. So for 2026, I'm going to kind of cover this up because some of these are personal-ish. I just did like an open, you can do this on a piece of scratch paper or whatever, just an open like, what is this, document that I could just write in, and I just started anything I could think of that I've been wanting to do. So with this brain dump, the next thing I did, as you might have seen, there's like colors on here. Because again, I'm a bottom-up thinker, I'm thinking of all those details first, but not thinking of like a bigger picture of it. So for me, what I did next was to categorize all those little brain dump items into categories or like themes. So I wanted to do exercise or some type of movement 5 days a week. I want to eat out or do takeout 2 times a week or less. Obviously, I don't have to do it 2 times a week. And those were kind of like food and exercise related. So I highlighted those in the same colors. I had some other like financial goals that I highlighted in the same colors. I had work specific goals that I highlighted in another color. And then I had some personal like social media goals that I highlighted in a different color. You get the point. So you're basically working backwards instead of starting with categories of your life and then adding in those goals. If your brain works like me, where you're thinking everything at once, and that's very overwhelming, take all those things at once, put them in one place, and then you can start putting them into categories. It's basically like, do you play that game? Oh, what is it? It's one of the New York Times games on like the app you use for like Wordle, and I cannot think of what it's called. You basically, it's like 16 tiles and they all have different words on them, and you're supposed to figure out which 4 go together in like groups. I'm explaining this so poorly. It's basically like doing that with your brain. And this may be, again, very easy for someone who thinks like more structured than I do, but you got to work with what you're given, right? So got your brain dump out, you're going to categorize them. And then once you look at that, that's where you can start to see what the key themes are. So for me, it's really helpful for me if each day, I keep obviously like a year-long calendar where my husband and I actually have like a shared Apple calendar where we put in like important dates, like one of us has, you know, an event or something like that. So that's like for longer term planning or like work travel or personal travel, etc. But when it comes to like week by week planning, I use a daily sheet that I created based off of a template, a Canva template, but I modified the Canva template a lot to work for me. And let me just cover some of these things up so I can show it to you, since some of it is personal. Okay, so it's basically a day at a glance. If you were ever like a planner girly, I used to be like a big Filofax girl, and I found that day at a glance really works for me. Or I don't even know if this was called day at a glance, but it's day on a page. So like the whole page is dedicated to a day. So I literally have it broken down by 30-minute increments on this side, and that's all that is. I have a box up here that I just included for any like quotes or motivational things, or just, I don't know. We'll see how I use that, or if I end up wanting to modify it. And then these areas here are those different categories that I identified from my brain dump of where my goals fall into. So I identified a lot of my goals are self-care related. I identified some of my goals are home care related. Some of my goals are Maggie Mouse related, which relate to my like content creation. And then I have another personal category here. So after you do your brain dump and you categorize those into buckets, then you'll see those key themes where you can start to have that inform how you structure your day. So typically I've been doing these every night for the following day. And I also included some items on here that just carry over from day to day. So what I've also found is, because I'm someone who like has just a zillion thoughts going all at once, you can often think that something that you've been putting off takes a lot longer than it actually does. And what I've noticed as I use this like 30-minute increment thing, stuff that you put off does not take as long as you think it does. And there is something about, even though this isn't paper, putting pen to paper helps you be accountable to getting those things done. So that's what's been working for me. And I'm going to carry that into 2026. I had a different version of this that wasn't as personalized that I had been using. So then I'm using that concept plus those goal themes that I identified to inform how I plan each of my days. We've talked about a lot of things, or I've talked about a lot of things, why my goals have failed. Perhaps maybe that's why some of your goals have failed as well. Being too all or nothing, being too specific or prescribed with them, and making your goals an attempt to optimize every second of every day of your life rather than focusing on personal improvements. And then I talked about how I'm going to be planning my time, or continue to plan my time, by doing that brain dump of all the things that I want to do and be, categorizing them, and then using the key themes to inform how I structure my day, because how you spend your days is how you spend your life. All of that being said, motivation is the stickler sometimes. Motivation wanes from day to day. You're not going to wake up with the same energy every day and the same, like, I can do this every day. So how do you hold yourself accountable and motivated towards those themes that you've set for your year? Going forward from this point on in the video, if I say I read or saw something, just gonna be honest, it was probably from a TikTok. Over the years on TikTok, this wasn't recent, but I've seen people saying like, taking care of yourself becomes so much easier when you start treating yourself like a sim. Like, if you ever played The Sims, which if you don't know is like a PC video game where you are just people and you like build a house and you have to like take care of them. You have to like feed them, make them use the bathroom, etc. And things go poorly for the character if they're in like dirty conditions or like not, you know, taking care of themselves, etc. So it's kind of funny because that's basically just what you have to do for yourself. So yeah, life goes better if you just treat yourself like a sim. And if you can think about your life that way, that might be a motivation for you. But something I saw more recently on a TikTok, and I wish I had screenshot it or saved it because I would like to credit the person or know like the source they had for this thought, was essentially your motivation should be make your goals and hold yourself accountable to those goals as you would for a friend. So you wouldn't want your friend to make goals for themselves that aren't attainable, or you wouldn't set goals for a friend that are not attainable. You also wouldn't limit your friend if they really wanted to do something. You wouldn't encourage them to give up or say that they can't do it. You would cheer them on. You would also celebrate successes that they have along the way to reaching those goals. You would, if they had failures along the way or in any of those goals, you wouldn't beat them up about it or tell them to give up. You would encourage them. And you also wouldn't work them into the ground. If you had a friend that worked for you, you wouldn't give them more than is reasonable work to do. And yeah, you would take care of them. So I think the actual thing I saw said, it was more about like, I think taking care of your physical body. It was like, imagine if your friend gave you their body and was like, take care of this body and I'll get it back at the end of the year. How would you take care of their body? You would exercise their body, but you wouldn't like run it into the ground. You would feed their body. You want good things for your friends, or maybe, you know, insert kids or family members or whoever in your life is someone that you care about like that. Yeah, that was just like for me, like instance where you know, I told myself I was going to get up at 7 in the morning because I wanted to start a new morning routine. If you told a friend you were going to do that and get up at 7 in the morning to like go do something for them, you wouldn't not do it. So do it for yourself, you know? It's just, that has changed everything for me. All of that to say, my goals for 2026, I'm not going to like express in great detail here, but they are more around treating myself as I would treat a friend and doing for myself what I would do for a friend. Yeah, because I think that's the perfect balance of wanting good things for yourself, but also not being too hard on yourself. Yeah, so if that resonated for you, let me know. If any of this resonated with you, I would love to hear it. And I would also love to hear what any goals you might have for the new year that you would want to share in the comments, or again, whenever this video is finding you. Future editing, Megan here. I did forget to mention that I am planning to do Vloguary, which isn't a thing, I don't think. But basically how people do like Vlogmas during December, I want to do maybe daily vlogs. I'm scared to even say it and like try to commit to that. But for the first 10 days of January, I'm going to try to do a daily vlog. We'll see how it works. I am going to be kind to myself if I have like a terrible day, or, you know, I start work back tomorrow again after the holiday break. So we'll see how it all goes. But I plan for maybe tomorrow's video, but if not tomorrow, soon, a closet clean out video. It desperately needs to be done. And so if anything, doing Vloguary will help me stay accountable to that. But treating myself like a friend, so not gonna kill myself if I don't. So if that is of interest to you, I would appreciate if you would give this video a thumbs up, and I'd be so appreciative if you would decide to subscribe and follow along with the journey. Yeah, I'll definitely see you real soon.